Good morning. Can you hear us? I think, yeah, okay. So, good morning, everyone. We are happy to start our third day of this conference. Unfortunately, it was rather difficult morning for Ukrainians, but we are happy that you are here and you are ready to work. Okay, so the first topic today, the first presentation, would be self-direct learning in chemistry laboratory via simulations. And our first speaker is Fatma Ali Khan. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm attending this conference from Turkey. I work in Hacettepe University Faculty of Education. My first foreign language is German. Therefore, I will get support from a translator. She is Shule. She will help me in presentation.
Sorry, Fatma, could you please share your presentation screen?
Yes. Is it okay?
No, it could be good if you switch it into the full screen. And reshare the full screen. No, not this. The full screen.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Feel relaxed and take your time. Okay, Fatma, just go as you planned to.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Please go ahead.
Hi everyone. Firstly, we are ready to start, right?
Yes.
Okay, so hi everyone again. My name is Shuliner and today I'm going to talk about self-directed learning in chemistry laboratory via simulations on behalf of my hocam. Firstly, self-directed learning is seen as a key competence for survival in the 21st century. Self-directed learning is not about learning. Instead, it is a meta-theory about learning how to learn. During the pandemic process, many theoretical and applied courses were conducted via distant education. One of these courses is the General Chemistry Laboratory. Students see chemistry as quite boring, difficult, and challenging. Some subjects of chemistry, such as the structure of the atom and visualizing how chemical bonds occur, are thought to be difficult to understand due to their nature. Chemistry is an experimental science. In order to be an expert in this field, designing an experiment is the most important requirement. For this reason, it is unacceptable that traditional laboratory programs have content that provides little training for the development of this skill. With the development of technology, many experiments aimed at reaching large audiences, especially expensive, dangerous, and hard-to-reach experiments, are offered to people in virtual laboratories with interactive simulations. In this way, students can see the work done in the laboratory in the form of video in the computer educational purposes and experience it in the virtual environment. During the pandemic process, many theoretical and applied courses were conducted via distant education. One of these courses is the General Chemistry Laboratory. While the laboratory course was conducted with distant education, simulations applications were used. It is the best example of the application of the self-directed learning method with simulation. In self-directed learning, the student experiences how to learn a subject better. Self-directed learning provides each individual with the opportunity to learn at their own pace. The aim of this research is to determine the effect of the General Chemistry Laboratory conducted with distant education and simulations on the chemistry laboratory self-efficacy perception of pre-service teachers. Again, the aim of this research is to determine the effect of the General Chemistry Laboratory conducted with distant education and simulations on the chemistry laboratory self-efficacy perception of pre-service teachers. For this research, quasi-experimental design was used. The single pre-test, post-test quasi-experimental design is a type of research design often used by behavioral researchers to determine the effect of a treatment or intervention on a given sample. The sample group of the study consists of 25 volunteer pre-service chemistry teachers who take the General Chemistry Laboratory course at Hacettepe University Faculty of Education. The research was carried out in the spring semester of 2021 to 2022 in the General Chemistry Laboratory course. Data were collected with the Chemistry Laboratory Self-Efficacy Perception Scale. The Chemistry Laboratory Self-Efficacy Perception Scale was developed by Alkan in 2016. Consisting of 14 items, the scale has a two-factor structure. Cronbach alpha internal consistency coefficient for the whole scale was 0.885. Cronbach alpha coefficient for subdimensions was psychomotor self-efficacy was 0.847, cognitive self-efficacy 0.880. While the General Chemistry Laboratory course was conducted with distance, simulation applications were used. For the General Chemistry Laboratory experiments, first of all, theoretical lectures were made over Zoom. Afterwards, the students performed experiments using simulation. The simulation steps developed by the Royal Society of Chemistry used in the application are given below. Here you see the screenshot of the video about titration screen experiment. First, students need to watch the video and then test their knowledge. In this step, students' previous knowledge is assessed. The assessment is about the topic, and until enough points are obtained, it is not possible to move on the next stage. In this step, some preparations for the experiment are made, such as preparing solution by weighing the chemicals to be used in the experiment in a desired proportion. This step includes carrying out the experiment online, according to the instructions in online titration application. Some procedures take place like writing the final volume down. Finally, the calculation is done based on the data collected from the experiment and the result is reached. For data analysis, SPSS-23 was used in the quantitative data obtained from the study. After the distant education and chemistry laboratory simulation applications, the difference between the pre-test and post-test scores was examined with the Wilcoxon signed rank test. Before starting the analysis, the assumption of normality was examined. In this study, the assumption of normality was tested statistically through the significance level of the Shapiro-Wilks test. According to the results of the analysis, since Shapiro-Wilks p is fewer than 5, normality assumption was not provided. Non-parametric tests were used. When it comes to results, chemistry laboratory self-efficacy perception pre-post test scores should be examined from descriptive data. In the psychomotor self-efficacy dimension, the pre-test was 3.18, the post-test was 4.33. It is noticed that the pre-test 3.36, post-test was 4.39 in the cognitive self-efficacy dimension. The normality assumption of the chemistry laboratory self-efficacy scale data was examined by statistical analysis. In statistical methods, examinations are usually made with the Shapiro-Wilks test or the Kolmogorov-Smirnov test. According to test results, it was observed that the data deviated from the normal distribution, and it was determined that it did not provide the statistical normality assumption. The effect of general chemistry laboratory practices supported by simulations on pre-service teachers' chemistry laboratory self-efficacy perception was investigated. For this purpose, Wilcoxon's signed rank test was used to examine whether there was a significant difference between pre-test findings and post-test findings in the chemistry laboratory self-efficacy perceptions of pre-service teachers. There is a statistically significant difference between the psychomotor self-efficacy subdimension of the chemistry laboratory self-efficacy scale and the pre-test scores of the cognitive self-efficacy dimension. Based on these results, it can be said that distant education and experiment simulation applications in the general chemistry laboratory have a significant effect on the development of pre-service teachers' chemistry laboratory self-efficacy perception. This research was carried out to determine the effect of distant education supported by simulation applications in the general chemistry laboratory on the perception of chemistry laboratory self-efficacy of pre-service chemistry teachers. As a result of the research, it was determined that distant education had a significant effect on developing the chemistry laboratory self-efficacy perception of pre-service chemistry teachers. The effect of distant education on chemistry laboratory self-efficacy perception is also supported by other research results. When the sub-dimensions of the chemistry laboratory self-efficacy perception scale were examined in the study, it was determined that there was a significant difference between the pre-test post-test scores in the psychomotor self-efficacy and cognitive self-efficacy dimensions of the scale. As a result of the research, it is another research finding that pre-service chemistry teachers developed psychomotor self-efficacy. It is surprising to achieve such a result without going into the laboratory and touching the materials one by one. This can be explained by the fact that the technology-assisted learning system increases students' learning satisfaction and motivation. Educational technologies, virtual applications, and mobile technologies provide access to these technologies outside the classroom. These technologies have the potential to enrich the teaching and learning experience in different subject areas. Technology-supported activities have many advantages in chemistry as they allow students to mix, run, and react chemical solutions with a few mouse clicks. In this study, the effect of simulation-supported general chemistry laboratory practices on pre-service teachers' perception of laboratory self-efficacy was investigated. Simulations test whether the pre-service teachers know the tools and equipment to be used in the experiment and the necessary chemicals, and check the theoretical knowledge about the subject. If the candidate's knowledge is at a sufficient level, he moves on to the next stage of the simulation. If it's not enough, it tries until it's enough. In the next step, the experiment is performed virtually. Here, the candidate has the opportunity to try the experiment as many times he or she wants. In these trials, the experiment can reach the state it should be under the best conditions, or it tests what results it should have when it should not be at all. Students are curious in the laboratory. This is the end of the presentation. Thank you for your attention and listening.
Thank
Um,
you.
if you have any questions, we would like to answer them.
Okay, thank you. So, dear participants, if you want to ask question, please raise your hand and we will see that and we will give you a floor to that. Yeah, I think we can see. Dana, could you please ask this?
Good morning. Thank you very much for your research. It was so interesting and so modern. We have such question. What about future? What can you tell about future prospects of your research?
Hocam gelecekte bu research hani nasıl bir yere evrilebilir? Yani bu uygulamanın gelecek
aklımda olan
alakası,
şey.
evet.
Bu tarz sanal uygulamalar günümüzde yüz yüze eğitimde öğrenciler laboratuvara gelmeden önce kendileri hazırlanmaları için kullanılabilir bence.
Such virtual applications, I mean, nowadays, such virtual applications can be used for students. They can prepare themselves before coming into the class. This would be very fruitful for students and their teachers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have one more question. Vadim Yermolay.
Thank you very much for your nice presentation. I'm interested in the details of your experimental part. Could you please recall how many subjects to have in your experiment?
Hocam, deneyde kaç tane konu dahil edilmişti? Onu hani biraz detaylandırabilir misiniz
Evet.
diye rica ediyorum.
Çözelti hazır. Preparing the solutions, one experiment. Other experiment, chemical, kimyasal denge diyeceğim ama.
Balance, chemical balance.
the second experiment. And the third experiment for virtual application, titrations, acid and base titrations, neutralization titrations.
Okay, so what
Her
was it?
deney... Okay.
Please go ahead and translate it. Because I didn't
Şey,
understand.
yani her deneyde farklı konular mı vardı? Sizin araştırmanızda bir deney mi vardı? Onu soruyorlar sanırım. Bir konu, bir deney mi vardı?
Bir konu ama birden çok deney vardı.
Ha, bunlar da deneylerin adları.
Aynen. Hani konumuz nötralleşme titrasyonu, yapılan deneyler, çözelti hazırlama ve titrasyon deneyi.
Under a specific subject, which is neutralization experiment, there were different topics such as preparing solutions.
I'm sorry for interrupting you, but perhaps you did not understand the question. How many people took part in the experiment?
Okay.
25.
Sorry.
25. And then the next question comes, what do you think might be the reason that you did not observe the normal distribution in your data?
Monodistribution'ı niye gözlememiş olabilirsiniz? Acaba sebebi nedir diye soruyor.
Yani normal dağılım olmamasının sebebi mi?
Evet, galiba.
Normal
Evet.
dağılım araştırmalarında genellikle örneklemin 30'un üzerinde olması beklenir. Bu birincisi. İkincisi de şimdi öğrenci sayısı az olduğu için istatistiksel olarak hani testin sonucunun anlamlı çıkması normalmiş gibi geliyor bence.
It is mainly due to the number of sample because it was under 30. Distribution could not be reached.
Thank you very much, as expected. Do you really think that your sample is not statistically representative?
Sample'unuz yani statistik olarak aslında iyi bir temsil, yani not representative, temsil etmiyor mu acaba? Demek istiyorlar sanırım. 30'un altında ya.
Ha.
25
Ama öğrenci sayısı o kadar olduğu için hani başka bir imkanımız yoktu yani. Dersi alan kişi sayısı 25 kişi. Hani öğrencilerin alan kişi sayısı o kadar olduğu için onunla çalışmak zorunda.
Because this research was conducted using a specific course, the number of course takers was specific, and there wasn't more than 30 people who attended this course. Therefore, there are 25 participants to this research actually. It's a kind of obligation. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, but I well understand your limitations, but this is not the problem of the audience, I believe. So, can we really trust your experimental results based on such a small sample?
Bu kadar küçük bir sample varken hani gerçekten verilerinize güvenebilir miyiz diye soruyorlar.
Ama hani şimdi nasıl cevap vereyim?
Yani söyledim aslında 25 kişi oluyor, bir tanesi hani zorunluluktan olduğu için diye söyledim ama yine de merak ediyorlar.
Verilerin güvenilir olma yani istatistiksel olarak yaptığımız analiz bence verinin güvenilir olduğunu gösteriyor. Non-parametrik testte.
Non-parametric. The researcher thinks that the non-parametric results actually shows the reliability of the data. I mean, it's statistically reliable.
But it's not statistically representative. It just means that you were lucky to get reliable sample.
Yani hani statistik olarak güvenilir olabilir ama representative hani tam temsil ettiği anlamına gelmiyor diyorlar. Hani buna bir kişi sayısından dolayı bir şey oldu yani hani bir güvensizlik oldu sanırım az olduğu için.
Bu güvensizliği aslında hani nitel olarak öğrencilerle görüşerek de giderilebilir yani. Hani bu tarz bir uygulama nicel olarak veriler toplanırken bir yandan da nitel olarak görüşmelerle öğrenci yani çalışma desteklenebilir.
Um, to support such a research, which has a quite small sample, you can support findings with other kinds of research techniques such as um, quantitative and qualitative techniques. I mean, you can interview students by, and you can have more reliable resource and results actually.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Are there any other questions maybe? Okay, looks like we don't have. Okay, thank you. Let's move to the next presentation, and next one is the use of digital tools for mastering practical disciplines in the distant format of training bachelors of preschool education. And the next presenter is Dana Sopolova. So the floor is yours.
Supova.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
Greetings, dear participants of the conference. Let's share our screen. Allow us to introduce, we are a research group of Department of Preschool Education of Boris Grinchenko Kyiv University. We are Larisa Grashchenko, Людмила Kozak, Olena Kovalenko, Olena Litichenko, and Dana Sopova. We present the results of the study on the topic the use of digital tools for mastering practical disciplines in distant format of training bachelors of preschool education. We will acquaint you with the experience of using digital tools in the preparation of Bachelor of Preschool Education of the materials of the practically oriented education discipline art needlework. The slide shows the structure of the report. The research was carried out during 2021-2023 on the basis of the Faculty of Pedagogical Education in Boris Grinchenko Kyiv University. 132 students of the first and second years of the specialty 012 preschool education bachelor's degree of the full-time and part-time took part in the research. The development of the electronic training course Art Needlework for students of the specialty 012 preschool education was carried out by us taking into account the specific of the specialty. In particular, these disciplines contain more than 80% of practical material and requires the development of students' manual skills. The skills of directly creating elements of the development environment in kindergarten, didactic games and exercise, manuals, attributes, interior elements, and so on. Practice various techniques and methods of creative activity of preschool children. Such features of the discipline Art Needlework were taken into account to fill the electronic course and select digital tools for its implementation. In addition, the task of effectively organizing practical classes in the online and distance format has become a real challenge for teaching the discipline. The purpose of our research was to study the effectiveness of using digital tools in the preparation of bachelors of preschool education during the mastering of the educational discipline Art Needlework in a distance format, the formation of ICT competence of future teachers. In order to realize this goal, we defined following tasks. To analyze scientific sources on the problem of digital tool application in pedagogical education, to develop criteria, indicators, and levels of formation of ICT competence in the process of learning the educational discipline Art Needlework, to investigate the state of formation of ICT competence while studying the discipline Art Needlework, consider the possibilities of using digital tools in interaction with students in the process of studying discipline Art Needlework. Our research is based on scientific works devoted to the issue of integration of educational activity, as well as combining methods of communication and interaction in university education. It's Bykov, Buynitska, Vasilenko, Varchenko, Trotsenko, Gurji, Lapinski, Morze, and Spirin. their research. Researchers emphasize the effectiveness of using cloud technologies, it's Korobenikova and Proshkin, AR technology, 2D and 3D modeling in the educational process. It's Kozak and Kozlitin. Open electronic resources, information visualization tools, and elements of gamification of educational content. The results of the analysis of theoretical sources allowed us a number of advantages of using digital tools, which help to compensate for the lack of physical opportunity to work with materials during practical classes in the university environment. The study of experience prompted us to test the possibilities of using digital tools for the implementation of the content of the educational discipline art and work in a remote format and the organization of experimental research. The update of the professional standard educated of a preschool education institution 2021 contribute to updating of our research in which the information and communication competence of educators appears for the first time. At the ascertainment stage of the research, we determined the criteria and indicators and the levels of ICT competence of the students in accordance with the description of the digital competence and the pedagogical worker. It's Natalia Morze, Bazaluk, Vorodnikova, and others. And adapt in accordance with the professional standard educator of a preschool education institution. ICT competence of future educators includes the following components. It's general digital literacy. Second, ability to use digital tools for own education activities. The third one, using digital tools to organize education interaction. The slide. Since the discipline art needed work is studied by students in the first year and in the first semester of the second year, we considered it appropriate to form ICT competence at the beginner and integrator levels. Further improvement of skills to the expert level, which is defined in accordance with the framework of digital competences developed by a group of scientists under the leadership of Natalia Morze, take place in senior courses in the process of studying other disciplines of specialty 0-12 preschool education. We also add the elementary level for students who have a low level of general digital literacy. So, my presentation has stopped. Okay. To determine the level of formation of students' ICT competence in the process of mastering the practical discipline art in the work, we use the following methods: conversation, questionnaires, performance of practical tasks. The questionnaire includes 3 groups of questions aimed at finding out the level of general digital competence, the ability to use digital tools, and for professional interaction with children of preschool age. They were based on the text of the digital literacy framework Digitogram 2.0 and description of digital competence of pedagogical worker. The analysis of the results of the interview and the answers to the questions of the questionnaire proves that 78% of the respondents feel the need to increase the level of their own ICT competence. 84% of the respondents know that learning requires mastering acquiring skills of various digital services. 21% of respondents want to master the skills of using digital tools to organize the artistic and productive activities of preschool children. My presentation has stopped. Oh, okay. At this stage of the experiment, we offered students to perform practical tasks on creating educational content, cartoons, games, video tasks using digital tools. Students were unable to complete the proposed tasks. 100 persons, which indicates a level of knowledge and skills in using digital tools. The next slide. Answers to the question, selective interviews, and the results of practical tests made it possible to determine the level of formation of ICT competence of students at the ascertained stage of the research. 65.16 ether-weight respondents were assigned to the elementary level. 34.84 found the beginner level. During the conversation, students had the opportunity to express their own judgment regarding the study of the discipline in distance and online formats. 84% of respondents consider online learning to be the most effective. Lectures and practical classes are conducted in real time with the presence of a teacher. 15.16% of the respondents consider the distance format the most convenient for studying the discipline. This distribution of opinions in favor of online learning was argued by respondents as follows. The information provided by the lecturer is unclear things. In the discussion process, it's possible to express one's own opinion and hear the opinion of fellow students. There is an opportunity to present one's practical work, to ask for advice on its implementation if necessary. In the course of the lesson, various interesting tools were used which helped to concentrate attention and remain included in the joint activity. Also, we find out that among the advantages of synchronous online learning, students mention significantly less fatigue, the opportunity to interact collectively, communicate, and receive emotional contact. This increases the level of productivity in the process of joint activities and thus contributes to the memorization of information. Respondents were not asked the question of the desire to master the disciplines in face-to-face formats due to the security situation in Ukraine and the impossibility of providing 100% security guarantees for students. At the formative stage of the research, the curriculum of the educational discipline art needlework developed by us was implemented. For implementation of its contents, various digital tools were selected for formation of ICT competence among students. The program is focused on the formation of general digital competence, system of skills to effectively and safely use digital tools, and application for educational activities, skills of using digital tools for professional interaction with preschool children. The implementation of these tasks took place in all forms of educational interactions, in lectures, practical classes, in independent work and modular control works with the help of various digital tools, which we conventionally divide into visualization service, collective interaction, game service, AR, and neural networks. Interactive presentations, quiz, quests, educational games were used in the process of studying theoretical material and online lectures. Quizzes were developed in Kahoot, H5P, Pollmaker, ranked list service. They contribute to the interest of the audience as the students analyze the question, gave an answer to it, argued their own opinion based on their own knowledge and experience, heard the arguments of their classmates, defended their position, getting closer to understanding the essence of the problem. Such interaction during the lecture was visualized with the help of infographics, which sharpened attention to the problem under consideration. Creating interactive elements of lectures with the help of interactive general service allows us to keep the attention on the audience by including them in various activities related to the subject of the lesson, reduce fatigue, supports interest, and enrich the experience of learners in using digital learning tools. Idea banks, or banks of ideas, were created during the discussion in practical classes, and Jamboard, Padlet, concept board, and line-out boards were used to intensify educational activities. At the beginning of the class, discussing the main theoretical questions, students were asked to look at pictures on the internet for a few minutes by topic and choose the most interesting ideas and place them on the board for further analysis. To affirm students' ability to use educational resources, technically prepare works in various services, and collectively interact online. We use digital services that are simple and easy to use as possible. Considering the peculiarities of the art and the work discipline, preference was given to visualization service. With their help, the practically complete task was recorded, technological maps of the products were created, and appropriate notes describing the manufacturing process were added. It's Canva, Befunky, Photo, Lightshot, Funny Photo Colligator, Photo Collage service. This service help us quickly and efficiently create technological maps of products, collages, and photo instructions. The use of neural networks is an interesting tool for creating a discussion and checking the level of preparation of students for practical classes. During practical classes, we use services that quickly generate image crayon, Deep Dream Generator, Dream Studio. Each student was asked to generate his own image based on a keyword, for example, origami, and adding concepts related to the topic. The students evaluate and discuss the generated image from the point of view of the features of the product in the specific technique, share interest in image, but forward proposals for improving the product. An important element of student acquisition of ICT competence as a result of studying the discipline art needle work is the creation of a digital pedagogical portfolio, which is a part of independent work. It contained all the students' works, developments, notes, technological maps, schemes, descriptions accumulated during the study of the disciplines and are ready for use by students in pedagogical practice. Another task of forming ICT competence among future educators in the formation of the ability to create electronic educational content for children. Using internet resources and various digital tools, students developed various projects, created interactive collages, photo layouts, and schemes. In classes, with the help of Assemble, Blip Build, TriCam IR service, future teachers also process their own image of manufactured products, transferring them to the virtual space with the help of augmented reality (AR) tools. Students will be able to use such service in their professional activities in the future. Model contour work in the disciplines art needlework are exploratory and creative. These are collective or individual projects, creating a cartoon for preschool children, a catalog of ideas of certain topic, an interactive masterclass for children. The next step in our study was to conduct an intermediate control as our study will continue. Quantitative indicators are presented on the slide. The generalist results of the intermediate control of the study showed an increase in the level of the formation of ICT competence among education seekers. 75% of respondents were assigned to the level of integrator. 25% were assigned to the level of beginner. This demonstrates that in the distance learning format, the use of digital tools is effective for students to master the practical discipline of the creative nature of art needlework. Synchronous online learning has significant advantages. Students develop the ability to work in a team and take responsibility for the effectiveness of actions. It's easier for them to keep their attention, to be included in various activities. Digital servers of visualization, gamification, and collective interaction diversify the forms of presenting material to students, allows them to demonstrate and jointly practice the technique of making products, support dialogue between all participants, and solve cognitive creative tasks in cooperation. And now we need to say about conclusions. The issue of using digital tools for mastering practical disciplines in the remote format of training bachelors of preschool education is relevant and insufficiently studied. The analysis of the study of the state formation of students' ICT competence at the beginning of the art in the work course proves the problem of lack of digital competence among students in the first year, 75% elementary, 25% beginners. The organization of educational activities using digital tools in the process of studying the discipline art in the work contributed to the formation of ICT competence among students. They master the system of knowledge, skills, and abilities. It's create, use, edit electronic documents, text, and multimedia for own educational activities. Develop digital educational content in accordance with the educational program for preschool children and create digital products. It's cartoons, games, educational videos, columns, maps, diagrams, interior decoration elements. Analyze the potential possibilities of digital services, tools, internet resources for creative use in interaction with preschool children and predict its effectiveness. The use of digital tools for studying the course art needed work ensures the students transition from general digital competences to the question of skills in the use of digital tools in educational and professional activities. The considered problem needs further research. It's important to further study the possibilities of using digital tools in the process of teaching on practical disciplines for students of the specialty 012 preschool education. Thanks for your attention. We have finished. Maybe questions? Do I need to stop a presentation? Okay.
А ну сейчас зараз секундочку. А ну скажи зараз.
And
Все. Yes.
Okay, thanks. It was some technical issue. Thank you for your presentation. It was very interesting. Are there any volunteers to ask questions?
А, все, є. Все, є.
Okay, so maybe I will ask. So actually, you mentioned all the advantages of distance online learning, and what do you think is the future of education? So would we switch to online mode in future, or maybe we will keep some in-person education?
In person, it's only elements. Our research now we have a very difficult time. Modern time needs modern decisions. So our research is.
Yeah, we understand that now we just don't have a choice. Yes, we have to be at
Yes,
home. We
but
have
it's
to.
a future. It's
Yeah.
really it's the distance format. It's really a future for education because it can give much more opportunities for students, for teachers, and we think that war will be ended soon, but we have much more opportunities for our research.
Yeah, of course, but just I think we have to, like human interaction would always be valuable, and maybe in future we will be able to combine. Like we will, of course, we will use all
Yes.
advantages of online, but still we will keep this human interaction. Okay, maybe other questions? Okay, if you don't have, then thanks, and let's go to the next presentation, a bot-based self-report diagnosis tool to access a post-traumatic stress disorder, and the next speaker is Vera Lubchenko. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I hope you see my screen.
Yes, we see it.
So hello everyone. Today I present the result of the collective work in progress. But this part could be interesting in the context of ICT application for healthcare. Stress affects health, and there are already talk of an explosive increase of heart attack, strokes, and cancer. It also affects the psychological state. According to current estimation, 30% of Ukraine's population suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. Unfortunately, people hide psychological problems and do not seek medical help. This is why we need a point-of-care diagnostic tool that is always at hand and against which there is no prejudice. The solution could be to use a bot. To be helpful, the bot has to use relevant methodology for diagnostics. That is why our work aimed to conclude whether the International Trauma Questionnaire should be used to instantly diagnose a person's mental condition in a stress environment of the home front. In our work, we were standing on the shoulder of giant. For example, the new system developed by researchers at the University of Portsmouth is an example of software for predicting changes in patient's condition. The development aimed to recognize a patient's worsening condition early to respond to it. The early warning assessment initiates a formal evaluation for the responsible clinician. And use is based on the fixed number of parameters and gives a cumulative score within certain limits. Patients are categorized into risk groups depending on the value of their cumulative scores. The outcome of the published work analysis was the hypothesis that the ITQ translated into Ukraine could be used to diagnose PTSD in current context. However, it makes sense to examine the influence of external factors on the components of the integration assessment under ITQ. In the current situation, describing the environment in detail is advisable. Practicing psychologists have been brought in to identify questions that might reflect a military conflict environment. This question set was added after the primary ITQ questions, and the basic assumption for identifying significant dependency was that a substantial factor split the responses set into classes with considerable differences. The input data for the study are the answers to the question in the questionnaire. The first block of responses corresponded to items in ITQ, and the second block of responses corresponded to question about the factor whose influence is being studied. The proposed technology for identifying significant dependency is demonstrated on the slide. In the result at the step 3 agree with the result of ITQ processing, it can be assumed that ITQ is applicable for analyzing the condition of people in a stressful environment. Here we showed the activity diagram for the work process for information technology. As we can see, the expert should be involved in the process. In the beginning, he supplements the ITQ questions with questions about the current environment to form the questionnaires. In the end, he reviewed the calculation result and provides their semantic interpretation. The questionnaire is then handed over to the data analysts who prepare the software tool and data structure to efficiently handle the raw survey results. A link to the bot is sent out to potential respondents. After respondents finished answering the questionnaire, the bot displays an instant diagnostic result obtained with a standard algorithm for ITQ. The data analyst prepares the collected data and aggregates the result for the questions in block 2. the result of the calculation and transmitted to the expert for review and semantic interpretation. A survey bot is an automated tool that engaged in interactive conversation with survey respondents to collect data and feedback. The bot supports only the multiple choice questions. Responses to the question on the ITQ can be translated into Likert scale. The bot algorithm was constructed so the participant could interrupt the interview at any time. This feature protects against the risk of discomfort for participant when asking about potentially traumatic events and psychological symptoms. The development process of the analytical system can be represented as a set of activities shown at this slide. The implemented analytical system was used to study the ITQ property. The study was conducted on a non-clinical sample of 286 people between the age of 16 and 60 who were in Ukraine at the start of the war. It was realized as an anonymous internet survey using a Telegram bot. The link was distributed in a friend-to-friend way. We can distinguish all responses into two categories, high and low anxiety. And we can see the answers to category K1 are dominant in all questions. As the survey result demonstrates the consistency of two questionnaire blocks, we can conclude the ITQ is relevant when used in a stressful home front environment. Developing a bot as part of the proposed information technology for diagnosing PTSD holds significant potential. One of the main advantages of using a bot is its accessibility and habituality. A bot is accessed through Telegram Messenger, allowing respondents to engage with the diagnostic tool in a well-known environment. The bot creates a comfortable space for respondents to share their experience and symptoms. Many individuals may feel more at easy disclosing sensitive information to a bot than a healthcare professional in a face-to-face setting. Additionally, the bot provides instant diagnostic result to response. This real-time feedback can be valuable for individuals seeking immediate insight into their mental health status. But we want to highlight that bots should not replace a comprehensive assessment conducted by qualified healthcare professional. So we can conclude that the proposed information technology makes it possible to adjust the questionnaires list of questions and answers to reflect the current environment and obtain relevant data for diagnostics. In the future, we can expand the bot with feedback to assess respondents' suggestions for change to various additional questions. Also, over time, the data collected will allow us to predict the mental state of regular respondents. We are thankful for the support of our research, and I'm thankful for your attention.
Okay, thank you. I think we have. Do you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Thanks for very interesting and actually, like this topic is very important these days. And we have one question.
At least.
Yes, at least one. So, Vadim?
Thank you very much, Vera, for your nice presentation. It was very interesting. I'm curious about...
Yeah. I hear you. Oh, no.
Sorry. Can you hear me well?
Now, yes.
Oh, thank you. So I'm curious about the stage of your experimental research. Is it just a closed experiment? Do you have any relationship to a clinic, to clinical protocols? Do you have permissions to do that in on a broader scale?
I understand you. You see, now it is not clinical. There is no clinical protocol. Actually, I should told you something about the ground of this research. It is idea of our Institute of Eye Health, named after Filatov. He worked with ice tracker, and he worked with people who came to us from Mariupol, from the front, and so on. And they need to know why the eye react on eye tracker in such way. Is it the result of some stress, or it is the result of some illness or sickness or something like that? So they need some instruments, some tools that provide them rough evaluation the state of the person, the state of the patient. Actually, this bot is not using in the protocol of this clinic, but they need the previous result to understand what is the mental state of the patient.
But in your screenshot, you mentioned that this is the diagnosis, or there is the absence or any clinical diagnosis.
No,
can you
actually,
really do such a strong statement for a respondent?
Actually, I highlighted that it is not clinical result, it is only previous result, and it provides some indicator for person, for person to understand have to go to the medical expert, or it is not so critical now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, just my one question. Last slide, you mentioned a twinning grant, yes? So this research was conducted within the twinning program, right?
Yep.
Okay, so great, yeah, we know, we also, okay. And now the further research, you have some funds, or how do you want to proceed with it?
Actually, twinning grant is working now, and we, at the finish stage of our work, we should present our results, and it is only one part of our results. The main goal of this grant were to establish information technology to detect some illnesses. So it is one tool for digital health care. And actually, I started my presentation from new system. It is development of our partner, University of Portsmouth. They start in the clinic research. But now we developed information technology in framework style. So it is quite abstract, but it could be adapted for different situation, for their situation in the clinic, for our situation, for the previous estimation, and so on. And we hope, we plan to apply for the next grant with, it is the Center of Medical Digital Investigation of University of Portsmouth, and they discuss with us next applying for the fund.
We wish you good luck with that. Actually, this project, of course, Ukraine needs some such kind of research. Okay, so thanks. It looks like we don't have any questions, we don't have other presenters, so maybe we should finish this session and we will meet during the next one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks everyone for your time, for your very interesting presentation, and let's hope that all of this research will be implemented and you will have next good results. Thanks.
Thank you.